Welcome back. We're going to continue from where we left off. Python Numpy. Now, this is one of the packages in Python. We're going to look at how we can use Python Numpy in data analysis. So, we're going to learn that the Numpy is a Python library. Also is used for working with arrays. That means we use the Python Numpy in working with arrays of data. Also, Numpy is a short form for numerical Python. So in the short form, they call it just Python Numpy. So it means Numpy means numerical Python. Now, what is Numpy? Numpy is a Python library used for working with arrays. It helps you to work with arrays of data. It also has functions for working in domain of linear algebra, Fourier transform, and matrix. Numpy was created in 2005 by Travis Oliphant. It is an open source project, and you can use it freely. Numpy stands for numerical Python. That's what Numpy stands for. It stands for numerical Python. Why use Numpy? Now in Python, we have lists that serve the purpose of arrays, but they are slow to process. Now, we have lists in Python. We've talked about lists, how you can work with lists in Python. Now, they serve the purpose in array, but they are very slow while working with array. That is why we need a faster package, which is a Numpy. It can help you to work with array faster than the list method. Now, Numpy aims to provide an array object that is up to 50 times faster than traditional Python list. The array object in Numpy is called the ND array. It provides a lot of supporting functions that makes working with ND array very easy. So arrays are very frequently used in data science, where speed and resources are very important. We call data science as a branch of computer science where we study how to store, use, analyze data for deriving information from it. Okay. Now, how do you install Numpy in Python? Now, if you have the setup of Python, it depends on the type of setup you have in Python. If you are working with a PyCharm, you need to set up, you need to run the Numpy installation in Python. You need to run the Numpy installation before you can make use of run the Numpy code in Python. Now, this is installation command. You type pipe install Numpy. Now, you're going to run this command pipe install.numpy. Okay, if you're working on PyCharm, if you're working on PyCharm, you need to run that code py install Numpy. Or if you're working on a Jupyter notebook, you don't have the Numpy installed, you need to run this code. Now, I've already installed this in my system. All I need to do, I already installed it in my system, so I don't need to install it all over again. Now you can see it's telling me that the package requirement already satisfied. Numpy. Okay. Now you can see it's telling me you may need to restart the kernel to use an updated package. Now, I want to use this updated package. I'm going to install this, or I'm going to copy this code and I run that. If I want to work with the updated package, now it's telling me that there is an upgraded version that is available. I want to upgrade that. I want to upgrade mine. I have to run the upgraded code in order to upgrade my version of Numpy on my Python program that has been installed. But if you try running this code and it fails, you can't install Python, you can install Numpy on your system, then make use of a Python program that has Numpy inside of it. You can use something like an encoder. An encoder already has Numpy installed and it has Numpy embedded in it. So in this Nobita just notebook, what you need to just run this code. Then when you run this code, it will bring you, it's going to bring this up and we need to install the Numpy package in your Python program. Now, mine have already done that. It's telling me the requirement is already satisfied. That if I want to update the package, I need to restart my kernel to use the updated package. So I need to restart this if I want to use the updated package because that's already been installed on my system. So I don't need to upgrade. So I don't need to run this to upgrade it. I don't need to run this to upgrade it. So I don't need this point. So what I'm saying is this. Now you run this code to install the Numpy package on your Python program. So run this particular line of code. Once you run this particular line of code, it's going to install the Numpy package in your Python program. So now, alternatively, if installation is not running, or if the installation doesn't run, or it fails, you can use an encoder. An encoder already has the Numpy and all other packages installed embedded in it. So I'm going to just work on this. So we're going to work in this since I already have it installed in my system. So we're going to import Numpy. Anytime you want to use the Numpy package in your either on the Jupyter notebook, if you're working with the Jupyter notebook, you have to always import the Numpy. So always import the Numpy. Let's look at this particular example. Now let's look at this particular example here. We have import Numpy. Can say import Numpy as NP if you want to do that. But if you are using import Numpy as NP, where we have this is an object. The object stores this. Then we have numpy. Instead of numpy here, the what we have will be what? NP. Because I already said import numpy as NP. But if I'm not using this, if I just say import numpy, I have to use numpy.array now. So numpy.array is equal to this. Then print this. Now this could take any name. Remember, this is just the name given to this. So we can give this any name. So let's try running this. Okay, import numpy. And let's call this array is equal to numpy array equal numpy dot array. Let's call that r equals that. And let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I will telling Python to print this. Okay, let him print this. We want to print this out. So I will run that. Now I tell you can see it's printing this. But when I say import numpy as np, okay. Now I'm going to use np dot array and I run this line of code. That still gives me the same value. Okay. Now we can see Numpy as NP. Numpy is usually imported under the NP aliases. Just like in SQL, we have analysis. Aliases is just a name given to a particular object. It could be a table, it could be something else. Just give it a name, like a nickname. So in Python, aliases are an alternative name for referring to the same thing, just as I did numpy as np. Okay, in this particular example, we have import numpy as np. Now, the numpy package can be referred to as np instead of numpy. Now you can see, just as I did import numpy as np, r equals to np dot array, then prints Python is going to print that. Now, checking the version of Numpy package you have in your Python. Now, the version string is stored under the version attribute. All we need to do is to import the Numpy, and we used print because I said Numpy dot print import Numpy as np. So I'm going to use np dot underscore version underscore. So what I'm going to do now is this. Import numpy as np. Okay. Now print np dot underscore version. If I want to know the version of numpy package I'm using, if I want to see the version, I'm going to run this line of code. And this line of code will gives us the version. Let's see the error we're getting here. Model numpy has no attributes version. It's telling it has no attribute version. Okay, fine. But what I did, what I did now is I copied this I copied this from this, I copy this from here and I go to my Jupyter notebook and I pasted it there. I pasted this on my Jupyter notebook. I pasted this here on my Jupyter notebook. Now you can see the line are different. When the first time I typed it, now you can see I have a long line, but if I decide to type this, the print np dot underscore version underscore. Now this is not underscore, but rather is a line. No, sorry, the underscore, sorry. Now you can see this underscore here is shorter. The one on my computer system is shorter, but you can see this underscore here, the line is longer than this. So that is why I was having an error. When I run this line of code, or this one I typed, it's giving me an error. Mode Numpy has no attributes. But this particular one, I copied this and I pasted it directly here. And I run this line of code, it's giving me a result. Now, because you can look at this version, this underscore here is longer than the underscore here. This is a very small underscore. Yeah, because that's why I'm having that. I'm having error in this particular case. So the underscore should be longer than that, but this is what my system is giving to me. Okay, we can also look at now we can look at Numpy creating an array using Numpy. Now to create a Numpy ND array object. Now to create an object using the Numpy package, the Numpy package in Python. Numpy is used to work with arrays. The array object in Numpy is called ND array. Now the array object in Numpy is called ND array. We said this before. So we can create a Numpy array object by using the array function. So import, how do we do this? Import Numpy as np. We give this a name equals to np.this print array, then print type. Now you want to know the type of the data set that is this. We use the type. Remember that we come across the type function. So we are going to just print the type here. So yeah, let's quickly copy this. Let's copy that line of code. Let's simply copy this line of code. Let's simply copy this line of code and let's paste it here. Okay, let's copy that line of code and let's paste it here. Then we are going to use the type function. So we're going to use a type function. And we run this. So now you can see that the class function numpy.ndArray. So that's the class of this particular function is numpy.ndArray. That's the class of function. So we're looking at class. Now, class here we are talking about, we know we have the different type of data type. We have numerical data type. You have the float data type that talks about the decimal. Now, for this Numpy, we are looking at the class of this particular data set. That's the class of this particular data set here is ND array. So we already said that we use Numpy to create the class of object known as the MD array. So we can create a Numpy ND array object by using the array word function. So that's a class of object we've just created. Now to create an ND array, we can pass a list, we can pass a tuple or any array like object into the array method and it will be converted to ND array. Okay, let's look at this Dimension in array. A dimension in arrays is one level of array depth. Okay, that's a dimension in arrays is one level of array depth. That is one level deeper. That is, we're talking about the dimension in array. Now when talking about dimension array, we are looking at the nested array. Arrays that have arrays as their elements. So we have 0 to D array, or the scalars are the elements in the array. Each value in an array is 0 to D array. Now let's create a 0 to D value array with value 42. Now we're going to import Numpy as NP. We're going to say array equals to this, but I'm going to print this. So now we are creating the 0 to D array using the value word 42. Now let's try this. So that gives us what? 42. So that's how to create a 0 to D array. So we're just still trying to work on this. Let's look at accessing 2D array. To access elements from 2D arrays, we can use comma-separated integers representing the dimension and the index of the element. Now let's look at this example. Now access the elements on the first row and the first row of the second column. Now this is the first row and this is the second row. So we want an element on the first row of the second column. So let's see how we're going to do this. Print second element on the first row. Now the first row is indicated with 0, and we said the print second element on the first row. Second element on the first row. Now this is the first row. And we're talking about what the second element. So how to access this particular element in this particular array. So we start by typing Numpy np np dot array np dot array let's call this 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's make this 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. Now I want to access the second element on the first row. So we're going to set by print. Take note of the single quotation sign, second element on the first row. Okay, print second element on first row. Now this is just our own write-up. Then we're going to use this. We've given it this name. So that's the name we give to. Remember, we talked about accessing elements in our foundational class. In the foundational class training, we looked at that one. Okay. Okay. We're having setting an array element with a sequence. The sequence array has in generous. Okay. So let's see. np dot array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, comma. Okay. 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, this is where we're having an error. So we have 1 to 5 here. So we have to have 5 elements here, because that is the second rule. The first rule is indicated with 0, while this second rule is indicated with 1. Remember when we're talking about accessing elements, second element on the first rule is 2. Now the first rule is this, that's indicated as 0. 0 represents first rule. But when we change this to 1, we are talking about the first, we are talking about the second element on the first row. So we are talking about second element on the second row. So this represents row column. So the second row indicated is being indicated by 1. So 0 represents first row, 1 is second row. So that gives us the second element on the second row. The second element on the second row. So that is second element on the second row. So if I need the like 3 now, I'm talking about the third element on the second row. This will be the third element. The third element on the second row. third element on the second row. The first row is represented with 0. The second row is represented with 1. So now it's represented with what? 1. Then we run this. That gives us 9. That's the fourth element on the second row. So if I'm talking about the third element, that will be 2. That will give me the third element on the second row. So we're going to call this a day. We're going to stop here and we continue tomorrow. Just let me get your feedback from this.